Hi, friends, and welcome to the latest episode of our live stream series with the Endurance22 Expedition. My name is Chris Ahern. I am Director of Partnerships here at Reach the World, and I am so excited to connect with you all throughout the US and the world in classrooms all over, as well as with my friend, Tim Jacob, who is Reach the World's Director of the Traveler Program. He is an explorer, and he is going to be speaking with us live from the Weddell Sea off the coast of Antarctica aboard the SA Agulhas II. We are really excited to be able to connect with him today. Tim has some really fun and exciting guests, so I can't wait to be speaking with them. As someone whose grandfather made much of his career on the sea. Hi, Grandpa, I know you're watching. Hi, Grandma, I know you're watching. I'm really excited to be able to speak with your guests today, Tim, because they are at the very beginning of their careers that they will be making upon the sea, and to be able to hear some of their stories and hopefully inspire some of over the 1,000 classrooms that are following this expedition live, to be able to inspire them to potentially explore some careers and what it's like to be on board these amazing ships like the SA Agulhas II. So before we get in with them and begin to learn a little bit about their own stories, Tim, great to see you. Look, the view looks great. Tell me what's happened since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, hey Chris, hey explorers, welcome once again back aboard the SA Agulhas II. So happy to have you here today. I have moved locations once again. Yesterday I was in the conference room, the meeting room, down on, I think it's the 4th deck. And now I'm back up in the 6th deck lounge, but in a different part. I'm sort of in the front of the ship, or the front of the tall part of the ship. So all of this bright light coming in behind me is the sunlight from this beautiful sunny day we're having down here in the Weddell Sea. That doesn't mean it's warm. It's still pretty cold outside. But it's really nice when there's this much sunlight, because when you're walking around the deck on a day like today, you can see overnight the ship repositioned to a new spot to continue the search for Endurance. And as we did so, there were a bunch of big icebergs that sort of came into view around the ship. So with this sunny day, that light is beaming off of the bright white icebergs, and they look just like they're glowing, like they're lit from within. It's really beautiful. And all the usual suspects are out on the ice today. We've got seals. I saw some emperor penguins watching the AUV go down, back down underwater today. And life is carrying on like usual, with the exception of a massive red ship in the middle of it all in the Weddell Sea today.
The search continues. How exciting! And Tim, I think that what you had said to us a few live streams ago, that it seems always fitting that the last day is the day that you find what you're looking for. I think that's going to continue, it seems, with this with this search.
That's right. Everybody is putting all of their effort into making sure that AUV can be down underwater, scanning the seafloor as long as possible. That includes all the members of the crew, all the members of the expedition team are really focusing all of our energy into that search while we still have the time to do that here.
Amazing. I mean, it's just yet another example of the incredible unity that you have aboard this ship, with all these different jobs, from the second engineer that we spoke with yesterday, to the South African Weather Service, to the ice scientists, to the engineers, scientists on board who are studying the effects of being in this region on the SA Agulhas II to plan for the next generation of icebreakers, all the way to some of the younger folks on board of the ship who are either beginning their careers in science. I know there's a lot of assistants and people who are supporting some of the more advanced career scientists that are on board, but that also extends to the early career folks aboard the crew. So Tim, can you introduce the literal crew that you have with us today?
Yes, as an excellent segue, I have as very special guests today the 5 cadets who are a part of this expedition. They are a cadet, generally speaking. I'm going to let them explain more about that, but a cadet is someone who is pretty advanced in their theoretical studies as part of the beginning of a career at sea, but they're on the Agulhas II to gain the practical experience of living and working on a ship as they began their careers in this field. So I am going to turn this camera around and introduce them. They're all right here. You can say hello. And we'll start right over here. I'm hoping you could please just introduce yourself nice and loud and tell us where you're from and what you do on the ship, please.
Yes, my name is Tulani Mwanza. I'm from Japan. I'm a cadet. That's what I'm doing on the ship. Do you want me to?
Yeah, what is a deck cadet?
Yes, a deck cadet is an officer in training, by which you do 3 years of studying at Tech. It's a diploma in nautical studies, and then I completed that, and then after that I began my cadetship, of which in South Africa we are required to complete 12 months of training. Then you go for your main exams, of which we call them the orals. Right. So now I'm more than 12 months. I'm about 15 months because the company requires 18 months for us in order to go for our main exams. Okay. So basically we are on watches at the bridge with the various officers because each and every week we work with a different officer from chief mate, second mate, and third mate. And then after our watches, we do maintenance if we are working with a third mate, and then life-saving appliances, firefighting equipment on board. Third mate is in charge of that, so you assist him to do that. Like this week, that is what I'm doing with the third mate. If you work with the second mate, after your watches, you do chart corrections, publications, all like navigational equipment to check if it's in working order. And if you work with chief mate, it depends. He can send you to the bosun on deck to assist with the maintenance, of which it's painting, chipping, like everything, so that it prepares you. Once you're an officer, you know exactly what you're talking about. If you send people to do the job, you know exactly what you're talking about and how long does it take to complete the task. Okay. That's the main purpose why they send you for the maintenance part. All right. Yes.
Very interesting.
What I'm doing. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. Let's move along.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tarabo Patlele. I am from Limpopo. I studied mechanical engineering at Nelson Mandela University. So I am the engineering cadet on board. An engine cadet is an officer in training, an engineering officer in training who gets to learn more about the machinery before they advance to a certain point. Basically, you come to do your training to learn more about the ship, the equipment, and everything that you need to know for the rank that is about to follow, so that when you go and do your oral exams, you are ready and well prepared. So that if you come back on board to be an officer, then you know what is expected and how to do it. So yeah.
Right. We spoke yesterday with second engineer Mark O'Reilly, and we have a pretty good idea of how complicated it is down below. There's a lot of things to learn about. All right, very nice to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Hello everyone, my name is Timothy. I studied at Durban University of Technology, S1, S2, and S3, and S4. And then after that, I was recruited by an agency, which is a South African Maritime Training Academy, which you are required to do an accelerated training course to do your cadetship, which means it's 12 months. And then after that, they found me a ship here with Council. Basically, I'm a South African government cadet. Yes. Being a cadet for me is like understanding everyone on board, because you need to understand your ship. You need to learn more, not only like in one department, but in all departments, so that you can be able to understand how the ship works. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Right, good day everybody. My name is Pelele Ngube, and on board I am a deck cadet also, so a navigating officer in training. And basically, I just came back from what I call our sea watch, or well, we're currently in the ice, but it's still called a watch at the end of the day. And I just had to pull my 4 hours from 12 to 4. And I just came down now, and I was actually busy with planning and preparing the route back to Cape Town. So I'm currently doing that for the vessel, which will need to be approved and signed by the captain, and has to be as accurate as possible, because that is the initial stage for our ship to sail safely back home and not be impeded by the perils of the sea. So I was just busy with that and completing that. Hopefully I'll complete it this week. It can be stressful, but it's actually a walk in the park at the end of the day. So that's also one of the best things about being a cadet. At the end of the day, you get to do so much, and you also get to be experienced and exposed to a lot of things. And you get to actually do more than the specific ranks that we are going to follow, and you get to get a taste of every single thing that we are going to do in the future. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. I know a lot of students are worried about us getting out of the ice again, but thank you for planning a safe route for us.
Everything is running safely.
Excellent. Very good. All right. And finally.
Hello, everyone. So I'm a Sir Ernest cadet. I studied at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology in 2018 and 2019. So that's 2 years of theory. And at the end of November, I joined the SA Agulhas II for my first time. So it's my first ship. And I'm about 3 months on board right now. So I've got 3 months under 3 months complete out of 12. I'm also, me and Litle, we're on the accelerated training program, which means we only need 12 months instead of 18 months. So I've got about 9 months left before I can do my orals. Okay. So my day consists of basically 8 hours of bridge watches divided in 2 parts, 4 hours and 4 hours, and then 4 hours of either deck work or assisting one of the other officers in any of their duties. Right now, I'm doing my week in the engine room. So during our training, even though we're on the deck and deck cadets in the bridge, we do have to complete 7 days of engine room time. So I'm currently doing that.
All right. Thank you very much. It sounds like you are all very, very busy. And I'm very thankful that you're spending your time with us today talking about what it means to be a cadet. I wonder if we could start back over at the beginning, sort of, and talk about what your favorite thing about living and working on a ship is.
Oh, yes. There is no specific thing that I would say is my favorite, because I enjoy each and every task that is given to me. Yes, that's all I can say.
Every task?
I would say every is not my favorite, of course.
Okay.
But basically, from the bridge and the task that the officers are giving me, I would say I like it because that is what is going to train me to be a better officer.
Okay.
Of course.
It's a good opportunity.
Yes, it's a good opportunity.
All right. Very good. Favorite thing on the ship?
For me as an engineer, because we have 2 departments, with the electrical engineering department and the mechanical department. So as a trainee, if I have to work on something, let's say I have to work on a purifier, then I have to isolate it electrically, and then only then I can work on it mechanically. So what happens is that we get to call our electrical department to come and isolate. And when they come and isolate, because I'm in training up there with them, I isolate with them. Then I unpack the purifier, do what I need to do, the maintenance, pack it up, put it back together, and call them again. Then we put it back online. With me, they at the end of completing the job and seeing what I have worked on work, that is what just makes up my day every day, all the time. It's always this, wow, it works, wow. So yeah, I love that.
Is that more fun than reading about it in a book?
Yes. When you see it, you're like, wow, so it is like this, it is like that. And some things are pretty much different, you know, theory and practical are, yes, it'll give you an idea of what you're gonna work on, but at the same time, it's not practical. Doing something, touching it, fixing it, and being there, it's more interesting. So that always makes my day. Whatever I work on, I'm like, yeah, I can do that. One thing to go.
Very good. Great. Thank you. Favorite thing on the ship?
For me, I would say the favorite thing about being on the ship is you get to see a lot of things that no one is able to see. For an example, like we are in Antarctica. So for me, it's pretty much cool, and I have learn to love the environment and learn a lot of things about the ice, how the ice creation works, how to navigate in the ice, how to look for leads in the ice to make sure that the ship is safe and all that. Because even if you can't be a cadet, I have been exposed in many other ships. I mean, one ship where I was like on the Africa and Europe routes. It's a different experience from this one. This one is a like once in a lifetime experience for anyone. So I feel like I'm like one of the like lucky people to have been able to get this experience. And another thing that I like is you get to be grounded, to be groomed, and to learn who you are because you are away from like home. So you are working with people, you must learn to work with other people. Each and every day you have to deal with a different person. And then that's where you learn about yourself, who you are. If this is the really thing that you want to do, you learn about your interpersonal skills, your engagement with other people. Like you make your life here on board how you want it to be. If you want to like to put up and have an attitude, you can have it, but it's not gonna work for you because no one is gonna teach you or anything. You need to build yourself. It's build you to prepare you to be, because at the end of the day, once you are like, for me, I'm gonna be the third mate of this vessel or any other vessel. So I need to be able to engage with any other people. Firstly, when I came in here, I was very scared of talking, but they have taught me to be confident and all that. So for me, yeah, it's like I'm trying to find myself who I am in the middle of everything, because like we forgot to mention, like you come with there's this training record book that is provided by the Safety Authority of South Africa under IMO, where you have to complete the task. It's each and every time, each and every week. So there, your progress is mentioned, how you are doing. For me, that's the most part, because I found out each and every day what I need to improve on. Like, I love it. That's what I can say.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Favorite thing?
So one thing I can specifically speak about that is my favorite thing is that I actually live at work, so I never get stuck in traffic. And so I also don't have to worry about commuting or being involved with a lot of people along the way. So I just have to wake up and just report up to the bridge, and that's it. So that's one thing that I can actually love about it. There's no late night meetings that I need to attend. But the only bumming part is that there's no drinks with colleagues after work. But, other than that, we still get the opportunity to actually be in an environment where people are so willing to teach us and actually expose their knowledge that they have unto us. And I'm also thoroughly grateful for the fact that we work on a vessel that has people who are willing to teach. Because if we have to face in all honesty, not a lot of cadets in our position out there in the world are so blessed with the opportunity that we have of officers that are actually willing to share their knowledge and are willing to allow you to be more involved in the daily operation of a vessel. So that has to be one of my favorite things of being a cadet on board.
Great, thank you. Right.
My favorite thing about being here is the reason why I started this career is I wanted a career where every day is different. So on board here is you'll never find 2 days that are the same. Right, and you hardly find 2 days where you're at the same location. And me, I'm very lucky that this is my first ship. The first time I ever get on a ship, I'm in Antarctica. So very, very few people get to experience that. And on a shore-based job, office job, that type of vibe, it really wasn't going to work for me. So I'm very happy with what I get to see here. And after this, maybe in a few months, I'll be moved on to another vessel. Maybe does Europe, maybe does Africa, Asia, South America. So being all over the world is what really attracted me. And another thing is being part of something, bigger than yourself, something important. Like last trip, we were at Sinai in Antarctica as well, delivering supplies. Next month, we're going to Marion Island. So we're going to take supplies there, take scientists with us. On this trip, we're searching for Shackleton's Endurance. So it's some really important work that we get involved in, and it gives you a good feeling.
Well, Thank you all for those perspectives. I wondered, some people get into jobs aboard ships because it's their family has also worked on ships. Does anybody have family members who are also live and work on ships? Your dad does? All right. And the rest, how did you get into this? This is a very, if you don't know about careers on ships, it's kind of a specialty career path.
So personally for me, I actually have a relative. One of my cousins is working at the sea. She's currently with Maersk Lines, and she was the one who actually I saw about coming to sea. But then my greatest exposure actually started at the age of 15, when I had the opportunity to go and study at a very great institution in Simonstown, Cape Town, by the name of Low Hill Maritime Center. And that is basically where they were able to groom me into being the person that I am today, and also give me the key elements for me to carry through in this career that I have chosen. So that's how I got to come about going into the career.
Okay. Anyone else have an interesting path to?
For me, because I didn't study marine engineering, I studied mechanical. So when I was done, it gets to a point in the mechanical field when you're done with your theory modules, then now you have to go into practical. So I was at home and then I see an email saying, when do I get sea? And I'm thinking, okay, do people get to work at sea? What would happen? And then I tell my grandmother about it, and my grandmother started like, do you know that there's ships that stay at sea and people stay at sea? And she tells me, do you know that water is very dangerous? Old people in there. And then I'm like, yeah, but maybe the ships have been there and it's pretty safe. So I decided to apply. When I did apply, I got to meet with the company that I'm on. I'm also a Sir cadet. So I met Mr. Sheldon Gamble to do the interview. We did an assessment test before, then we did an interview. I'm like, okay, I'll give this a shot. And then we went to Simonstown to do our MEKs, more like introduction into marine engineering, because I have a mechanical background, so marine law and other things that I didn't do. So we did all of that. I'm like, okay, I love where this is going. Oh, they told me I'm going to see countries and see people. And I was like, okay, I do want to travel the world. Then I did my workshops, training, hand skills, anything, welding, electricity, diesel, all of those things in order to shape me to be a better technician on board or an engineer on board. Then I went and then I came to the ship. When I first got to the ship, it was in dry dock and it was overwhelming. I get to a ship, they take me outside. I see everything that I wouldn't see on a normal day operation when the ship is in water. And then they're taking me everywhere and anywhere. And I'm thinking, they say that is a proper, that is a bathhouse, that is the hull. For the first time, I didn't even want to go under the ship because we were sitting on blocks. I'm thinking this thing is too heavy for the blocks. I don't want to fall. Oh, I don't want to die now. I'm still young. I want to make it to Italy. But then after being on board a ship and getting exposed to all of the machinery that we have on board, then I realized I do love this. And with my engineering background, and then I fell for it. I'm like, I'm going to stay here for as long as I can and see where this one goes. So, yeah.
Great. Interesting career path, how you became interested in living and working on a ship. Is there any story there?
For me, I would say I knew a family friend who didn't stay. But he started at sea and then he ended working ashore for agencies. Yeah, so he's the one who spoke to me about this because I didn't know anyone who was at sea before.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kept on asking him, and then he told me the whole truth about it because being at sea was associated with like nice lifestyle, traveling, and he told me that it's not like that at all. If you are there to work, forget about this nonsense of traveling around and getting around. No, you won't get that chance, especially today, because the ships don't stay here for so long on any port, as you know. They just discharge and they go. You don't even get a chance to go ashore. I'm not talking about specifically on this ship. I'm talking about in maritime sector, like in general, like on container ships. The tankers, they don't even go like on a quayside. Right. They just discharge offshore. Right. So I had that, kind of understanding, and it told me it's not easy as you think. Of course, I wasn't looking for something easy, but there are, ups and downs as well, because we have to tell the students there as well that it's not as simple as they might imagine. And another thing, you get to live and be surrounded by people that you don't know. We come from different cultures, different upbringings, and different mindsets. So it happens sometimes that you are surrounded by few people that you don't particularly like, and you need to build your resistance and the resilience to be able to work in harmony with all those people. So it takes a lot of courage, you see, because there is no doubt about it. You would be in a situation whereby you do not necessarily get on well with someone. It has happened to me at the beginning of my career on the first ship that I joined. I really had someone I really did not want to, yes. So we really need to tell them the truth. We don't want to give them an idea that, wow, it's so sweet on board. Yes, sometimes on the ship it's very nice. The people are very decent. But it can happen that you really get yourself into a situation whereby you're surrounded by.
And there's nowhere else to go.
Yes. And we're at sea sailing. We're not even alongside. So it's just one of those things. And no matter how hard you try, to avoid this, they are just straight on you. So that may happen as well.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I think everyone here can relate to the fact that sometimes there are people you're working with who you have differences of opinion with or don't quite perfectly match with, but you have to find a way to make it work, especially for the benefit of a ship that requires that sort of teamwork. Anything else to add before we switch over to questions?
For me, my career is pretty much, I would say it's weird because I firstly started studying electrical engineering, and then I completed it.
Yeah.
And then after that, I did shipping and logistics. Then I was lucky and fortunate enough to, when I was still studying shipping and logistics, to obtain employment with the South African Maritime Safety Authority. Basically, what you do there is you environmental protection, inspection of all the ships that are coming into our waters, detention of ships who do not comply with the laws and regulations of our water. And then at that time, when I was there, I got to meet one of the first black female who obtained a first class, like class 1 to be a captain and command the ship. And then she told me about it, and then the office decided that I can go and complete my studies to come on board and work here. And then that's when my career began. It was one thing after another, and then I completed my studies at university, and then after that I found myself in a general paper ship that's Samtra arranged for me to go in and get my training there. There it's like you do a different types of jobs, different types of cargoes, from container ships, from grain, from you can name it. So like for me it's been pretty much a bumpy ride to get where I am, but in all I knew what I wanted. This is the kind of job I wanted. Now I know that, because if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. I want to turn it back over to Chris. I see that we've got some students with us now, and I'm sure they've got lots of questions after that great overview.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all so much. It was really amazing to hear. I was furiously taking notes as I was listening to you all about all the different things that you do and the work that you're doing and all the different jobs that you're learning about. And I mean, I'm a little bit older than you all are, and you're making me want to just drop everything and explore a career on the sea instead, because you're making it sound too much fun to not explore. So it's just so much fun to hear all of your stories. So before we bring in Mrs. Schaefer's class all the way over in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey at Lincoln Elementary, I did want to quickly mention some of our amazing folks who are joining us on through YouTube. So we have some folks that are joining us from South Africa, from Brazil. We have, we're all over the world, including not just in the US. I'm obviously here in New York City, and we're all eager to learn so much more about your stories and everything. There was a question from one of our folks in Brazil, and I think I wanted to ask this just to begin with before we hear from our students that are on camera, because it connected with something that a couple of you were mentioning as you're going from becoming cadets to then becoming I believe it's officers on board the ship, and that was one of you mentioned, oh, I'm doing this before I have to do my orals. So those are, I assume, oral exams. Could one of you maybe talk a little bit about what that process is, maybe what that type of test is? In the US, we know a lot about different tests to be able to do different things. So I'd love to learn a little bit about the test that you're all planning to take.
Want to talk about oral?
Yeah. So basically what happens is, for every single cadet that is in the world, once they have completed their training, they need to undergo a oral examination with the Maritime Association of that country that they did their training with. So basically what happens is we have a board of members that sit across a table, and you get asked questions alone so that they can see if you are actually capable of navigating a ship by yourself and not have anyone guide you through it. So basically it's a stage in our careers which is a very nerve-wracking stage, but it's something that everybody has to go through. All the officers that are out there in the world today, they also had to go through the training, and then have to go into their oral examinations. So oral examinations is just a process. At the end of your training, then they ask you everything you have been taught to make sure that you can actually operate a ship yourself.
No pressure, right?
I guess so.
For the engineering department, I believe that when you are done with your training, because we have the fourth engineer, we have the third, we have the second, we have the chief. So you go up the ranks. So when you are done with your training, they're gonna ask you questions based on your training, but more like it goes to the fourth engineer's line of work, because that's what you're gonna be doing when you are done.
Okay.
So they're gonna ask you about mostly safeties and how to maintain your machinery, because in the engineering department, if I should also mention, there are different machineries that fall under different engineers. So the fourth engineer will be for pumps, purifiers, all the other things that fall under safeties that we do at the end of every week. And for the third engineer, there's also something that falls under him: generators, the sewage plant. For the second engineer, overall maintenance of the engine room and the engines and waste heat, ventilations, So as you go up and do orals, because for every rank you do orals, except for the third engineer one, it's just a promotion that you get from the company. But for the second and for the chief, then you have to do your oral exam. So as you go up, then if you do your oral for the fourth, there will be more for the first job. It won't be giving you, they won't ask you third, because now you're going to be a fourth engineer. We need to be sure that as a junior engineer on board, you will be able to maintain the machinery, get it working, and yeah.
And then when you're a fourth engineer, you learn from the third engineer,
Yes,
and you take the orals to.
As you go up, that's how it works.
Is it the same for the deck cadets? When you pass your orals, you become a fourth officer?
With us, once you come from a cadetship and you pass your first stage of oral examinations, you become what we call a third navigating officer. So we have the third officer, and then as time goes, you get a promotion from the company, just like how you said, to become a second officer. Mm-hmm. And once you've become a second officer and you have completed 12 months sea time, you need to go sit another set of oral examinations for you to become a chief navigating officer. Once you have become a chief navigating officer and you've experienced 12 months of being a chief navigating officer, you need to go sit another set of orals for you to become a captain. And then once you become a captain, you can be rest assured that you do not have to do any more oral examinations.
That is amazing. All of these students have met Captain Knowledge Bengu. We talked to him on the bridge, and it gives me a greater appreciation for all the tests that he passed before they gave him the keys to the ship, so to speak.
That's amazing. I'm so sorry to interrupt you amazing cadets, but I do want to make sure that we get Mrs. Schaefer's class from Lincoln Elementary School in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey to join us on camera for just maybe a question or two. I do know that you're racing to go to lunch, and I don't want to take up too much of your lunchtime. But if you have any students who want to ask some quick questions of our cadets, please, the floor is yours.
Once you become an officer, what do you get to do?
That's good.
Okay, for me, because I'm gonna be a deck cadet, I'm a deck cadet, I'm gonna be the third mate, the third officer of the ship. Basically, I'll be responsible for all safety equipment, life-saving appliances of the ship. I'm gonna make sure that it's maintained, it is in the standard that is required. And also I'm gonna be responsible for a watch, because there are watches 8 to 12 during the day, and then after I do the maintenance of the equipment. When I'm speaking about equipment, I'm speaking about the fire extinguishers, I'm speaking about the BA set, self-breathing apparatus, and firefighting equipment, and many other equipment that we have here on board that is assisting the ship with whenever there's fire or anything, to make sure that we are ready for it. Yeah, to 12 navigation during the day and night.
Okay. To answer your question, Nana, you need to be very good in maths and to be very good in physics. So from school, you need to focus on your maths, you need to focus on physics. That's what you need to do in order for you to be able to be considered at a university or nautical academy, like the way you call it in other countries. You need to be good in mathematics, physics, English, obviously, it's your home language. Then once you are good in subjects, then you will be accepted. And then you will study. Once you complete a diploma or a degree, depends from country to country.
Okay.
Then she will comment doing that.
I know that in America, you don't do an oral examination, but you do a written assessment. It's divided into 3 parts than in South Africa, where you have to, because for us, we don't only just do this task. There are like short courses that we forgot to mention that you have to do, plenty of short courses. And on top of that, you must need to make sure that you are not psychologically affected, like you don't have any mental issues, because you are away from the hospital, away from the whole world. So you need to be able to be a person who's able to function properly, who's able to work under pressure, and also like you need to be healthy, because you also go for your medicals.
Yeah, there's a lot involved for sure. And I know that there are, in the US, there are maritime academies that I know a lot of people that I actually grew up with pursued to be able to do that. Ms. Schaefer, I can see that you're all antsy to get going. If you have one more question, 1 or 2 more questions that we can answer quickly, please.
What military branch are you going into?
Could you take your certification and work on like a South African Navy ship?
Yes, of
Yes,
course.
yes.
We have some of our former college mates who has in the Navy. Just after you have completed your academics, and then you go straight to them, they actually does recruiting in our institute. Our military is called South African Navy, where you go and do the 2 years also training with them. They have their own procedures which are different than the one that we have here on board. That's the difference.
You have to decide at some point whether you want to go into research ships and cargo ships or military.
Yeah, making them your own.
They have their own. The Navy has their own rules, and then the merchant shipping is represented by IMO. They have their own rules.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you happy? Which one do you want to choose? Deck or the engine? Engine, deck.
You're muted.
Which one would you choose?
Which one would you choose? Deck or engine?
Deck.
Deck.
And then also we have another department here on board, which is electrical engineering, by the way, where you eventually you become a electronic technical officer. Yes. There
So if you
have
wanted to be
do-
an electrician, you could also pursue that direction and still be on board the ship. So there's 3 options in that case. Ms. Schaefer, is there any other questions?
No, I think that's it. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and your explanation.
Awesome.
Bye-bye,
Thank you
Jen.
so much. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering those questions. And it sounds like we have at least one potential deck officer that will be.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have some future engineers too. Don't worry. I did want.
We need them.
Absolutely. I did want to ask another question about just a little bit about this is another question I see from the chat about we've talked a little bit about that what you're doing now that you've gone here, the fact that you've done some really amazing studying on board, but can you tell me a little bit about your experiences about what it was like because I'm sure you all are super lucky to be on board the SA Agulhas II. Did you just have to apply to different ships and see who could take you? Did you just get placed randomly? How were you selected to be on board this ship?
If I go first, sorry.
Okay.
Because I fall under SAMTRA, South African Training, South African Maritime Training Academy. So because they recruited us from university and then they did our accelerated program with us, accelerated, the MEK is integrating us into marine and everything other than all the training that we needed to do, our workshops. So they get to place us on our ships because it's more like their responsibility to ensure that we get to complete our training. Mm-hmm. So we need the 12 months, then they choose and find ships for us that offer training to us, and then they put us on those ships to train for maybe the first contract would be 6 months. They take you off, you go home, you do other courses because to be at sea, you need a lot of courses, firefighting, first aid, survival tactics, anything that you need because it's not easy being out here. You need to be able to, in cases of emergency, if anything goes wrong, to know how to survive and to know how to navigate the ocean. Mm-hmm. So after that, you go home, you do the other courses, advanced ones, and then you come back to sea, you do your other 6 months, provided you complete all the tasks that are in your record book, so that when you are done, you can be able to go and do your oral exams. So that's how it happens. SAMTRA as the company is the one that gets to put us on board ships, and basically they take care of us. They are our parents, if I should say.
Is it unusual for a ship like this to have 5 cadets at the same time, or is that pretty?
It's a normal thing.
It's normal
for us. Other ship in the foods and AMSO, but for us, it's just a normal thing.
Okay.
But basically, to add on what she just said, SAMTRA is an agent that is working with the likes of Maersk, AMSO, Oldendorf, Klaveness, you name it, all the
big
shipping, yeah,
companies.
all the big shipping companies. So they have been accredited by the SAMSA to conduct the training, and then they facilitate the training for SAYIMI. So they take about like 20 to 30 cadets, I think, in year-to-year basis. I would love to say so. I'm not really sure what but they like do. They have intake January, December, and mid-year. So I don't know how they conduct it, but that's what happens. They go to CPUT and take some students there, and then they go to DUT and take some students there, and any other universities to get the.
It sounds competitive. Do you have to interview? Yeah.
It's very competitive.
Very.
Yeah.
But you can apply for directly at AMSOL. You can be able to apply directly at Green Road. You can be able to apply directly at BP Shelley. Like you have that right.
But they're looking for the future officers of their ships, and they're training you to fill those jobs over the coming years. Any other questions, Chris?
I mean, I have one more question, but before that, I'm seeing this very common theme in the chat, which is everyone is, number one, really impressed, and I just keep seeing the phrase "thank you" over and over again from all the members of the chat, because they're so impressed with your enthusiasm, your knowledge, your passion for this career. I see Deborah and Jean and our friends from Brazil. They're all just blown away by all the things that you're talking about and everything. Just saying thank you for sharing these experiences and your dedication on board the Endurance. So I wanted to make sure that you heard that as we're discussing all of this stuff. But I have one question, only because when we talked earlier this week with Shawal, who's a steward on board the Agulhas, we were talking a little bit about what he does in his free time. And I know he mentioned that he likes going to the sauna, and he also mentioned that he also likes to play FIFA in his spare time. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what are the things that you like to do in your downtime when you're not doing all these amazing jobs on board the ship.
I'll start.
Yeah, you want to start?
So free time is not so easy to come by. We have 12 hours of rest, 12 hours a day of rest. But because they've broken up so much, you end up sleeping in more than one of those periods, because you've got like a 6-hour break maybe, and then a 4-hour break like that. So when I do have free time, it's more like watch a couple of videos maybe in 15 minutes and then go to sleep, work on projects. So just because it's your free time doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. So we'll be working on projects that go towards completing our training record book. And then I try to sometimes go to the gym. It's not so easy to keep going, but it's very important just for your mental state on board here. So yeah, that's basically what I do.
Anyone else have any free time that you want to admit to?
We do get free time. It's just that, especially when you're working on a shift, it's very difficult to juggle your time, because we don't work a continuous shift. We actually work a shift, we rest, then you have another shift. So our shifts are broken up. So sometimes, it's not all the time, but sometimes you get an opportunity where you have to get free time, and then in that free time, you try to rest as much as possible so that you can actually be efficient for the work that is required for you to actually complete on board. But yet again, it is also for us, especially as trainees on board, free time is also the time that you actually need to study, because as you know, we have these oral exams that are coming up. So we have these questions and answers that we are busy studying. We have certain tasks that we need to complete, that the captain or the chief mate need to have a look at, guide us into seeing if this is correct, and all of those things. So we also have to use our free time in actually putting time into our training ourselves. Instead of having everyone put their time in us all the time, we also have time that we need to put into ourselves.
Anyone else have?
Yeah, for me, I would say I also take time to do projects. Yes, all of us have to do that. But of course, it's very important as well to take your mind out of that. I do that very often. You know, I cannot live like that. You work, you do your project, you sleep. That's not a life.
Yeah.
So my cabin mate, Mr. Mohammed, just taught me table tennis. So I challenge him and go and play table tennis.
Yeah.
Yes, and sometimes I walk on deck because it's not a life. You can't. You are working, you are doing projects, you are sleeping. That's boring. That is boring. So I make my own entertainment.
All right.
Yeah.
So a little ping pong.
Yes. Yes. Like after this, we
And
can.
he sings.
Yeah.
Play the ukulele and he sings.
Excellent. My cabin mate drags me to TikTok. He loves making TikTok videos. But because I love music, so I'm always there to sing. I love singing, so I sing a lot. Whatever I'm doing, I'm always singing. But if I'm not also doing anything, I love staying in the engine room. Sometimes the environment is just nice. So I'm always saying, second, Mr. Mark O'Reilly is my second engineer. I always say, second, come, let me show you this and that I saw down. It's like, oh, we have things on board. And then I'll say, no, man, second is this and that or this and that. But otherwise, it's fun to also sit with them and they share their stories of what happened when they were cadets and how they went up the ranks. Funny things that happened when they were working, because there's always experiences in the engine room. I don't want to lie. Somebody water spilled on them today. I don't want to call them. But yeah, it's always fun. So, but other than that, it's movies, it's our books, it's music, it's
Tea
TikTok,
time.
it's tea time.
Tea
Yeah.
time. We have a group of tea time now. But it's a bit complicated now because we're working different hours. But tea, I can vouch for tea. Tea brings everyone together. So like we drag from Captain Knowledge, Captain Dolly, from everyone. Tea time, and then you get to know, we have a good laugh and all that. Yes.
Very nice. Well, for the musical ones amongst you, I hope that you will participate in the open microphone night on Friday. Yes, yes, I can't wait. Fantastic.
Oh my gosh, that's too amazing, and I appreciate you telling me all the different things that you're doing on board to make sure that you're enjoying yourselves, and those all sound really fantastic and lovely. And I know one of you mentioned earlier that it's unfortunate that you can't have the sort of after work drinks that is very common for professionals and stuff to do, but it sounds like tea time is a really good replacement. So I'm glad that you have that.
And we are saying the Kelly more than we should.
Yeah.
Even after the hours that we're not supposed to be there, we always stay because the food is so good on board.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I from what I've heard, and I'm gonna do my best to say this right. The food is very lekker, so that doesn't surprise me from what I've heard. Okay, well, I really appreciate your time. You have given us so much of it, especially because I know you don't have a lot of free time, but on behalf of Reach the World and all of the classrooms from around the US and around the world that have been following, I do want to extend my sincere appreciation to you all, obviously to Tim, and but we do need to say goodbye for the time being, just because it is unbelievably that our time is up. So thank you all to all of our guests who are joining on YouTube. Thank you to Mrs. Schaefer's class who joined us during just before their lunch break at Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. And thank you all who will be watching us in the future. Hello to the future, and I wish you the best of luck for the remainder of the journey. I hope that all of the planning that you're doing to get back happens nice and smoothly in that work. And also those of you in the future who are doing your exams, best of luck on those exams. Feel free to have Tim help you study. He's a former teacher. He's very good at that. But with that, I do want to say goodbye. So if we can just get maybe one last goodbye, we can end it there. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye, Chris.